Hello everyone and welcome to SGDC with your step dancing host, Stay for Pay, with me. Hi! Thank you. So, as every week, we are here to show the stuff that the people in the house that all work on games are doing and want to share their progress. And we're gonna start with Tintin, who's gonna tell us about how she did Leene, whatever that means. Give it up for Tintin.
Let's see here. Alright, so as usual. Yeah, it's too big to transfer, so I gotta download it. Modern technology, guys. So, let's talk a little bit about merchandise design. Let me just get my script up here, but as some of you guys know, it has been a little bit of a time. Mainly because I got super duper busy at my part-time job, because it turns out I'm such a good art teacher, they wanted me to cover several last-minute shifts. I'm awesome, I know. I also have to finish animating a thing, and on top of that, I really had to beat some outside bullshit into submission. So anyway, I got into a cartoon for the first time in forever. Also, a friend hooked me on Baldur's Gate. For the first time, I'm actually in a spot where I, A, feel that I have the skill to produce merch, and B, can have the time and energy and money to go to an anime convention. All at the same time. So, I decided to put on my Leene hat and try my hand on making stuff like stickers, and also keychains and prints. But probably mainly stickers, because, you know, Leene makes stickers, and yeah. But is my style actually good enough for anime conventions? I've just been grinding fundamentals, so I gotta be a really good artist by now, right? Yeah, I wish. I've always gone, oh my god, no, don't reference others' art style, it teaches you nothing. Yeah, I was that kid in art school. Anyway, turns out I have been doing it wrong this entire time. According to this published mangaka on YouTube with art advice, and it says picture of this guy in the script. But you guys think I found a picture of that guy after watching his YouTube for 10 minutes and he's a huge YouTube? No. Anyway. So, here's a sneak peek. This is what happened when I tried to make Baldur's Gate 3 keychains using my own cute chibi style, which is highly influenced by 1960s manga. Cute, but not the proportions needed for a small keychain, so I'm turning these fuckers into stickers instead. So I decided to try and actually imitate the style of others, and my stylization leveled up fast, because I was learning the stuff they already knew, like, as you guys see here, huge eyes, by taking it in simplified form. And since I already studied fundamentals, I wasn't learning anything wrong, I just learned shortcuts that someone else already invented. I didn't stop referencing real-life pictures from my own OCs, as you see there. I just did that, and then I added some style refs. And when I just refed some random anime keychains that I searched from the interwebs, it turned out like this. And I think this turned out pretty okay. So, in conclusion, I have learned how to design merch. That's it. Oh yeah, questions? Alright. Huh?
How many people wanted the Spelkollektivet logo?
5 people, including me.
It's my favorite people in the house. The rest of you? Fuck you. Alright, thank you.
Thank you, Tintin. Up next, we'll hear about the development of Alaric's Adventure, which is a text-based game by Pontus. Please give it up for Pontus.
You have 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Holy. Yeah, that's gonna be fine. Gonna be fine. So, for IndieQuest, I've been making a text-based adventure game in the console, and it's been going pretty well so far. And I was supposed to present something when I finished my first milestone, but since that was after the last SGDC, I have to do all 3 of them now. So milestone 1 was just a core prototype loop. Nothing special, just making sure I understood what I was doing, getting myself into, and kind of like scope checking before I did anything special. No enemies, no equipment, but I did have leveling, difficulties, and some form of lore. And then milestone 2, instead of being a prototype loop, it's now just the core loop with enemies, equipment, like RNG loot or enemy generation, path generation, like a death mechanic. You, instead of having heals or something, you get like a chance to resurrect. But if you do and die again, you're going to lose more XP and more loot than you would have if you just sucked it up and died immediately. I don't know how that's going to work, but it's like my version of implementing some Souls-like feel to a text-based game. I don't know. It kind of works, and I'm kind of proud, but it's still kind of shit. And also, I added the end of game, so it's like a final path. Like before, you just fight enemies and some bosses, but the final path that you take, it's filled with like bosses 5 times as hard as they were before. So this is just where the grind stage come in, and like the RNG kind of, the Diablo farm thing kind of plays into it. And milestone 3, loot and more lore, basically for the ending, because in the IndieQuest we're gonna have like 3 different projects, like the text-based arcade game and then like a tech demo, and this is called Alaric's Adventure, the text-based game, and I'm thinking about making all of them thematically joined with Alaric's Adventure, so it kind of builds upon the last one. And also I had a new game plus, so it gets harder if you want to replay it, so that's great. And nice to have, so like more polishing, sounds, a web build, maybe having offhands, different like dual wheel, more intricate ways of generating stuff, but it works for now. And also how I changed my production plan was I found out that some things, like I mentioned earlier, I don't have heals, I just have resurrections, because heals became super overpowered super quick, even if it just had like a 5 hit point heal, and that really broke the feeling of, oh fuck, am I gonna make it? No, it's just like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna make it, no matter what I did. So yeah, that's me. Peace.
Wait, question.
Oh yeah, questions, never mind. Oh my god. Yep.
Did you get sounds to work?
Yeah. But yes, but I'm not sure if I can build it for the web if I have that, or any other operating system than Windows, but I think I can make a workaround. Maybe I could make like just port the game to Unity and then make it from there with sounds. Yeah.
Who's Alaric?
I've decided he's some French dude. Yeah, no, he just like kind of like this regular ass dude walking around. He comes to a town. It's all explained in the lore. No, but he walks around, comes to a town, and the town is like decayed, and he's like, what the fuck happened here? And someone's like, can you kill the, primeval? And he's like, sure can do. And then he just goes on killing stuff. And that's how he becomes a hero at the end. Yeah.
Sounds French.
Yeah, I know.
What's the origin of Alaric's can-do attitude?
His father was a baker, and he had to learn how to make baguettes. And that's why he started his quest from the beginning, going from town to town to make the best baguette. But he enjoyed killing things more. So, yeah. Now I had to add that somehow. Thank you. Yeah.
You have to get up early if you're a baker.
Oh, yeah. He does. Yeah. He's a really
All right.
great dude.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, we'll hear about the Acerola jam by Florian. Please give it up for Florian.
Speaking of the French,
How do I exit that?
excellent.
Yeah. A week ago was the end of submissions for Acerola Game Jam, and I made a game for it. So it was a 2 weeks game jam, and the theme was aberration. My take of the theme was to think about aberrations in dreams, like for example you're in a dream, and if you turn around, you might end up in a completely different environment. And I wanted to make a puzzle game based on this idea. My inspirations were games like Sokoban or Babeziu, where you are in top-down perspective and you move a character around and you have to push stuff to solve puzzles. So I made a character and end of a level, this star, and two dimensions you would be able to shift by turning around. Then I added some boxes you can push and some keys you have to push in the corresponding circles. Once I had the core mechanics done, I made a bunch of levels, but after some playtest I figured out that most of them were trash, so I threw them in the bin. But I kinda liked them anyway, so I renamed the bin extra levels and I included them in the final build. So I ended up with 12 main levels. I considered that 10 of them were kind of easy tutorial to learn the mechanics, but they were actually already very hard. And then 9 extra levels with 3 actually hard levels that were way too hard. But let's jump into the game. Straight to level 1. So you can move forward and on the side, and you can rotate. The thing is, tiles that appear on the left of the screen are orange, and tiles on the right are blue. So you can do some pretty cool stuff with it. And yeah, you just go to the end. In this level you have a wall that blocks the player, so you need to go through the orange dimension to get through the wall and get to the end. Then I try to teach the player some of the mechanics, like if you rotate in one direction you might not be able to go through a wall, but in the other one you are able to make it the correct space to keep going. So yeah, that's about it. Questions? Yeah.
Did you make all like the background effects and the music and stuff?
The music, no, I used free asset. For the background, I used basically some basics, circles and Unity particles, and then I put a blur effect in front of it, or rather in the background, but it blurs itself recursively, so it does that cool effect.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Got another one there.
Yeah.
Are you going to post it to showcase so that people can try it?
You can try it in like the Acerola Game Jam discussion.
Oh, no.
Thank you.
Alright.
Alright. Up next, we will get an introduction and a little bit about a 3-week solo app jam/sprint. Give it up for Natasha.
Trying the Discord presentation style this time. So, I'll explain what I'm doing and why. So I'm staying here for like a 3-week period initially. So I needed something to do to fit in that time. So I wanted to work on something that would reiterate on some things that I'm interested in learning. And that's why I decided to make an online chat app with cute 3D graphics. It's going to have, it's going to be kind of like each person has an avatar that they can customize, and they have like a little space, like a garden or kind of like a house area that they can customize. And then you can invite people to your area and chat with them. And there'll be maybe some kind of friend list so you can keep track of people, And for now it's just going to be invite only, so I'll have a password, and then later I'll make it so that you can send an invitation to someone. So, because I'm just running this on stuff that I own right now, and there's no plan to make it a bigger project, so it'll just be I'll invite a few people to it. And you'll create an account and you'll sign in and you'll be able to use the chat room. And wait, there's more to the presentation. Oh, where I'm currently at with it is I've managed to get a website that displays some graphics on it. Yeah. That's where I got to so far. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Do you have any more?
Are you using WebGL?
I'm using WebGL. I'm using the 3JS library to do the graphics, which wraps WebGL. Yeah. Thanks.
Why did you choose to do it like that and not use a game engine and export for web?
Because I don't necessarily want to make games with the web graphics. I want to use them in more web apps. So I want to learn the thing behind. Yeah. Because I don't want to make a universal thing that runs on Windows and Mac and web, just web graphics.
Alright, thank you. Alright, up next we'll get a progress update by Liljekvist. Please give it up for Chris.
Hello everyone. Let's see. Is this it? Yeah. Boom. No. Why is it? Oh. One moment, please. Alright. So, I'm here to talk briefly about my project and how's it going, been going lately. And this is just a summary. Our studio is called Act None. I have it together with my friend in Malmö, so we're just 2 people working on these games. They're basically text adventure RPGs for mobile devices, and those are the titles we have released so far. So currently I'm working on this game. And yeah, there are some bullet points there, but basically it's the third one in the same series. It's the stories are connected, but you should be able to play them independently of one another. Like a new player should be able to jump into the second or third game without, being lost or whatever. So yeah, and it will definitely be released this year. So let's break down how it's going. So I've finished chapter 1 to 4 of the main quest. I have 5 more chapters to finish. The 5th one is almost done, so we'll see. I have implemented a simple crafting system. You can basically make 5 different consumables. It's pretty cool. There's a very simple cooking system. All animals you can harvest meat from all animals you kill and transform them into grilled meat. Yeah. Which is, if you eat raw meat, you lose health, but if you eat grilled meat, you gain health. So it's very cool. There's 19 quests that are done. Some of them very simple, some of them very complex. It says here 26 plus. Like I have maybe 7 more that are sort of planned out, but they're not. Yeah, they're works in progress, and I might add more if there's time. There's 185 items. There's at least 60 locations. We have about 64 enemies with sprites. There's probably more, but we haven't gotten all the artwork yet. And I've written here, like I just pulled this from like the editor, but this has like 167 NPCs, and that's counting like enemies as well. But there's actually more characters you can talk to. These are just the ones you can interact with mechanically, like through bartering or combat or stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff. There's about like maybe 3 to 5 hours of playtime, depending on who you are. But yeah. So what's next? Well, my partner Adam is supposed to be implementing character classes and a skill system. I don't think he's gotten started on that yet, but let's see. I have to finish chapter 5 to 9 of the main quest, but chapter 5 is like 90% complete. Chapter 6 and 7 are rather short, and chapter 9 is going to be the biggest one, so that's probably going to take a month or so to finish. And then I have to write all the endings as well. Ideally, I would like to go through the entire game and expand on everything, add more quests, flesh out the characters. We'll see about that. I also have a cool idea for like a major branch for the main quest where you sort of align with a different faction, but that's also like on the nice to have list. So yeah, that's where we're at. We're hoping to be done with it within maybe 2 or 3 months at best, but it's an optimistic projection for sure. So yeah, here's the big ad. And by the way, all this artwork is from our games. Like this is from our old games, this is from the new one. So as you can see, it's like a desert setting in this RPG. I didn't want to talk too much about the actual content. I just wanted to sort of give you an idea of where I'm at with the project right now. So any questions? Yes?
Would you consider allowing the player to grill a vegetable?
That is unacceptable. but the vegetables are used for the herbalism though. So you can get, like, they're not grilled, but they're sort of...
So I can't eat, but I can have drugs?
You can eat the vegetables, but you can't grill them. All right. James?
Is your partner ever gonna visit?
Can you repeat that?
Is your partner ever gonna visit?
He said he would. Yeah. Any other questions?
Not for me.
Casper?
Who makes the art?
It's a Russian dude named Evgenich. Yeah, he's very affordable. Yeah. All right. Yeah. This. So yeah, you can get our previous games at Google Play and App Store, and they're free to download. But if you get far enough that you need to pay for them, you like them enough to pay for them. So give it a go. All right. We done?
Yeah. Up next, Pinball by Matej. Give it up for Matej.
It's been a while. So I am working on a game called Pixel Art Academy. I've been talking a lot about. Well, we've covered a lot of stuff in the previous few SGDCs. My game is sort of split into these three parts. One is the tutorials. It's a game about learning how to draw. So it has a bunch of tutorials. So it's always these three parts. You learn something. For example, how do curves work in pixel art? You've seen me talk about this. Then once you know the theory, you put it into practice with these challenges. So we've been looking at the last we looked. Once you know how to, for example, do curves, you can draw fan art from references. We've been looking at this where it shows you, how your curves are, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Once you have shown that you can do this in practice, always there's the third step, which is, okay, now put these skills into practice on a project that you're working on. And so far we've had one project that was in the demo where you're making art for a game of Snake. But now for the pixel art fundamentals tutorials, I wanted to do another project. So the new project happens on Macintosh because if you remember, all of it was just black and white stuff. So I'm making a fake Macintosh, the very early one. So I've been working a lot on just kind of recreating this look of the old school Mac. So it's all fake, but kind of tries to look like the thing. And the project you'll be working on is Pinball Creation Kit. This is there was an actual game for the Macintosh called Pinball Construction Set. So it's a riff on that. And this is kind of how it looks like. So just like in the Snake game, you will get to draw all of your own sprites. So for example, this is all done. For example, well, right now I don't have drawing in the game yet because I'm just trying out. So for example, here I just drew this playfield, the pinball playfield in GIMP, but later on, imagine you'll be drawing it straight in the game. So whatever you draw, then it just ends up in the game, and it also gives you different things that you can place on the pinball table, and then it just automatically, as soon as whatever you drew, you can just play with it, and it turns it automatically into physics objects. This is just to test it out while I haven't done the dragging and dropping yet, but once you are happy with your table, you get to play it. You get 3 balls, and everything sort of works. Let's see if we can get at least one of them in there. So I'm very happy about. Everything so far has gone pretty well. The physics engine is Bullet integrated into okay, that's not going. Let's try one more time. So it's because the thing is, there we go, 1,000 points. So that's a hole, by the way. It's an actual thing, a gobble hole. That's how it's proper terminology. But most of the time when I'm just making my all of the tutorials and stuff, that's all just HTML user interfaces. So this was actually quite fun. It feels like I'm actually working on a game again because, this is, a graphics engine, a physics engine, and this kind of stuff, scores. So it's been a lot of fun. And then, of course, classic me, there's, you can't really maybe see it there, but the whole game is done in sharp pixel art, but here on the as you're playing this, it actually has CRT effects, so you can also turn them on and off here. It's probably hard to see here. And then what else do we have? You can also go into experimental 3D mode. Mainly I did this because I have these debug physics so that I can test what's going on. Basically it creates a 3D. Whatever you draw, it creates a 3D reconstruction of the table that you can then play on. So so next time, hopefully, when I have things integrated into the main game, I'll just be able to also then just draw whatever draw, and then it will just automatically ends up here. All right, any questions? Okay, Remy.
Will there be bumpers and multi-ball?
Yes, definitely. So, well, there will be, here you'll be having a lot of other stuff. I'm going to work on this until the end of the month. So I'll see how many things I'm going to be able to put in. So yeah, I think pins are next, then bumpers, kickers here, because these ones are now just passive. So yeah, all of this kind of stuff. Multi-ball, we'll see, that's probably a stretch feature. That's on your hand.
Question from the chat. Daniel is there and he's asking, what exactly is a gobble hole?
A gobble hole is a hole in the playfield that ends the current ball. Usually the difference is, so for example, there's another hole down here, which is the, oh god, how is it pronounced?
The other hole.
It's a ball froth or something like that. But the difference is the gobble holes are usually the ones that give you a lot of points if you put. And all old school pinball tables, when it was actually just pins and a ball, you would just shoot the ball, and then it didn't have any flippers, so all it had was these gobble holes that give you different amounts of points. So that's that. Okay. Yes.
What happens if you draw a square ball?
If you draw a square ball, then it turns into an actual cube, and because if you put a cube on a pinball table, it doesn't roll. So that's actually how the game will start. Instead of a ball, there will be a cube, just like in the snake game. So it won't fall down. So you have to first draw it into a sphere, and then it starts rolling around. Wait, Remy has another question apparently.
Yeah. What happens if, for any reason, the ball gets stuck or the cube gets stuck?
There's a file reset button.
Okay.
Okay, next. I don't know who is that. Or Matt.
If a square turns into a cube, why doesn't a circle turn into a cylinder?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So each one of these different items, I have a priority queue of what shapes it tries to recognize. So for example, you will have pins, and pins will, for example, pins and ball both look for a circle, but ball has a sphere priority, so it will try to, if it detects a circle, it will create a sphere. But a pin, because it tries to be a cylinder, it'll detect a circle and create a cylinder out of it. So each one of these has different priorities. And yeah, so for example, then the holes just create depressions down here. And then the walls create extrusions, and there will be other types as well. James?
So, just to confirm, you will be able to draw the flippers and all that stuff?
Yeah, these are all drawn like I showed here. I've just drawn them here in GIMP. They're all individual sprites. So if you change the flipper into, first of all, you can change the ball, like I said, yeah, into other stuff. You could even, if you wanted to really play, let's say that you draw a star for a ball, and you really wanted to play with it, you could probably, if I let you decrease the friction on the table, you can actually then just bounce it around. But yeah, you can change flippers into, I think Glenn wants to make a penis game out of it because okay, good.
How do you choose the resolution of the curves, the curvature?
The curvature, well, so this is all done through the same engine that I've shown here. I guess we can just we can go through curves. This tutorial, right? Oh wait, this one, yeah, this one is the one where I've shown this last time. So yeah, in this one you just have to connect the dots, but it'll show the analysis. That's what I'm trying to show it here. Or do you want to define what you meant by resolution?
Yeah, the resolution of the mesh.
The resolution of the mesh. Ah, okay, I see what you mean. So yeah, so here, for me to be able to display the this green curve, right? Here, this is just drawn on in Canvas. This is not WebGL. So basically, on each one of these, my game detects segments. You can see them here: 4, 1, 2, 4, 3. So at each center of each segment, it creates a point, and then creates a Bezier curve between them using the other ones. Okay. So in the game itself, I'm using only those points. So in the Canvas version, I use Bezier curves so that it looks super smooth. Here I don't, because it turned out to be quite enough that I just do. I just use those points that are on the segments of the pixels. But it does create problems. Like for example here, Like this one here just became just like one little line, whereas I think you can see it, kind of see it. Like for example, just from here down to here, there's just a straight line. So we'll probably do create Bezier curves out of it, but just like, I don't know, just 2 points or something like that. Shoot.
So if you drew like an egg shape, would you get like an egg-shaped ball, or would it be like a weird cylinder?
It would be, well, right now it would detect it as a, yeah, you would get a, what's called polyhedra made out of it. So yeah, it would not be a American football ball. I could technically, if I did detection of ellipses, I guess I could do that, but it's too much work. All right, thank you very much.
A quick PSA before we move on. If the last 2 people who signed up, unfortunately, I don't know who it is. If you want to send me your name so I can introduce you with your name, that would be cool. Okay, moving on. Up next, we'll get to hear about a Metroidvania month post-mortem by Matt. Please give it up for Matt.
Hello. Yeah, so the past month I took part in the Metroidvania month jam, and I was working on it solo. I'll just show you the gameplay first. One of the things to kind of look out for in it is I'm really proud of that I made the music and the sound effects myself. Is the sound on? Oops, sorry.
Increase it on the TV.
Yeah, so there's, a bit more there's a bit more than that in the game, but not much. So that's basically what I ended up with. Here's kind of some screenshots of some other rooms, some cool puzzle and traversal stuff, another tile set. Whoa. But yeah, so I'll talk about kind of how it ended up. So what went wrong? What I ended up with, I didn't end up putting in any upgrades or story or like non-linear progression or connection of rooms, which is all kind of pretty important Metroidvania stuff. So like as a Metroidvania, it didn't turn out amazingly, but it's got kind of, I don't know, the basics, room traversal. It's got the foundations for something there. So I feel like if I really wanted to come up with a finished Metroidvania at the end of it, I didn't prioritize that well. Like for example, making original music wasn't something that I had to do. But yeah, what went right? I mean, I'm actually really proud that I made the music, and I'm happy with that. It was my first time putting music that I made into a game. And it's probably one of the more kind of polished small game, basic gameplay loops that I've made by myself. Yeah, and I feel like it's a good foundation to work on something. And I really, really enjoy working with these kind of limited graphics. So I've constructed this whole kind of 3D setup. But for example, when I want to make a new NPC or an enemy, it only needs a few frames of animation, and it kind of fits in pretty nicely with the style. So I think where I want to go next is I'm going to push ahead with it and try and make a commercial game out of this, and I'm aiming to release it in 6 months. That's my goal. So the next step of that is, and I'll come back to that. yeah, so the next step of this is there's another thing called the Super Metroidvania Month Jam, which starts at the same time but goes for 3 months. So I feel like I'm just going to roll straight into this, and my goal for this is going to be to complete the scope that I had planned for the first month. So I want to have some actual upgrades. I want to have some NPCs in there and a bit of story. Yeah. Yeah, where was I going with this? Oh, and I'll just show, yeah, one of the things I kind of made at the last minute was this title screen / credit screen / controls / pause screen that'll show when the game starts and also anytime you pause the game, which was kind of a fun hack that I hadn't really done before, but it works all right. And yeah, if you want to play the game, it's on itch. It's called Life Forge. It probably takes about 3 minutes to play through it. And yeah, thanks.
Questions?
Yes, any questions? Mariana?
Do you have any ideas for the story or any lore already?
Yeah, the lore. So I have some ideas. It's not that fleshed out, but kind of this basic idea, which I didn't have time to implement, was that your character starts off as a statue, and you're in this kind of abandoned place, and you get disturbed by a person, and the game begins with you kind of like cracking open, and a little boy comes out the exact same shape as the statue. That's something I want to implement as kind of the opening of the game. Yeah. Any other questions? Shu?
Why the name Life Forge?
Life Forge. It was pretty hasty, to be honest. I'm not very happy with it. I'll probably come up with something else. But it was out of this idea of these themes of like you coming from a statue and being like created by a person, forged to life, and also the mechanics of the game that I want to kind of bring into it. At the moment, you can pick up enemies, but I want to have mechanics based around transforming things, making them alive, making them unalive. Just changing the forms of all sorts of things. Yeah. Chris, did you have a question? Same question. Cool. Jay?
I'm not sure if I remember correct, but I think the last time I was here you talked about how maybe designing levels for it with the perspective would be difficult. How did you...
Oh, yes, designing levels with the perspective. So just for reference, there's, like last time I was talking about it, I'm making these in Magica Voxel, and they get imported like this. But yeah, making stuff from this perspective, it is quite challenging. So for example, something that works... okay, so one limitation is that stairs from this perspective only go upwards into the background. I could maybe come up with a solution to do it another way, but at the moment that's kind of like a basic limitation art-wise. So it means that I have to kind of construct the rooms so that in general they're at the front of the room they're low, and at the back of the room they're high, because I don't like to obscure too much walkable area. Yeah, and I have these doors that you can see on the foreground walls, which I think work pretty well. Yeah, this room here was particularly kind of challenging to construct because I wanted to have this puzzle where you go between the rooms, and I sort of went back and forth between these two rooms, moving things around and trying to align them, and trying to get it so that you can walk up these stairs, but also these like passages here wouldn't obscure the stairs and that it wouldn't end up looking too awkward. So I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It's a constraint, but I think so far I enjoy working with it. Yeah. Any other questions? Cool. Thank you.
All right. Up Up next, we got something very exciting. 2 newcomers, and we're gonna start with, they're new and they want to say hi. Please give it up for Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh. That's it. No, James suggested I came up. We moved in last Tuesday, and I'm here now, and I wanted to say hi to you. Super excited to be here. Yeah, I make video games like anybody else, I guess. I don't really know what to say. I have worked for games for quite a while. I'm a game designer, so I've done mostly design, but also code and all that kind of stuff. I worked in AAA for a company called Shark Mob, so if anybody wants like horror stories and hear how sucky that can be, I'm always available. Other than that, I am Danish, so but I've lived here in Sweden for 8 years. So you can speak Swedish to me. I probably won't speak Swedish back, or at least like for your own sanity's sake. That's pretty much it. I love magic and board games. So if anybody does that, I've even prototyped board games in the past. And yeah, that's me. Hi.
Questions?
James.
Are you joining the draft on Saturday?
Yeah, sure. Maybe. I love drafts, so that sounds like a fun time.
A question that every newcomer has to endure. What's your favorite games?
Favorite games. So playtime, it's probably World of Warcraft and League of Legends, like the addictions, right? I really adore a lot of the indie darlings. Celeste, The Witness, I think is a brilliant game, and Outer Worlds, the one with the time loop, not the other one. Always mix up the titles. My niche game that most of you haven't played, but I absolutely love, is Digimon World 1 for PlayStation 1. That game is amazing. It's way better than it has any right to be, and like Pokemon can only dream to be that good. That's my hot take.
Have you played Baldur's Gate 3?
Yes, I love it. I also do love turn-based games. The game we're working on is called Dice Gambit, and it's turn-based. So I have lots of opinions about dice. If you want to talk about dice and what it means to roll a dice, and if you like XCOM, I love XCOM, but let's not talk about RNG and XCOM because it's a long conversation.
Would you also talk about Dice Studios?
Dice Studios?
EA
Oh.
Ignore him.
I mean, I've heard shit, so like, we can gossip, I guess.
What are some of your favorite board games?
Favorite board games? I love Magicoro. I think Magicoro is a really fun game. I made a commander deck that tries to be Magicoro as much as possible. There's an old game called El Grande, which is like, you know, a lot of modern board games are very well designed, and El Grande is not. But the meta game, if you go in and try hard it really, really well, is really, really fun. So it's a game that scales amazingly well. And I loved Pandemic Legacy when that was like the thing, and trying to play through Pandemic Legacy. That was like a really cool thing to experience. There's 3 on top of my head.
Speaking of board games, will you join us for board game evening on Wednesday?
Totally. Yes. I would love to.
You said you love magic. What's your favorite magic trick?
I don't know any magic tricks. I'm really bad at it. Like, I just love it, right? But I don't know any. Yeah.
Thank you. And last but not least, introducing me. Well, not me, but themselves. Give it up for Nina.
Well, that was a long way up. Hello, I am Nina, and I'm also part of the Dice Gambit crew that will be joining. I'm the artist, so I thought I would just show my portfolio because that's what I can. Oh yes, I also wanted to show actually first my cat. This is Soren.
Named after the the Planeswalker.
Yes, named after the Planeswalker in Magic, because he's black and white, and he's a very cute, big Norwegian forest cat. Yes, very very good. With this it says Art Station. Here I am. Yes, so I'm an artist. Before I really got into games or did games, so basically before I went to the Game Assembly in Malmö, I did a lot of webcomics, and so this is some of my comic pages. I really love that, and I sadly don't have time for making comics anymore, but that's like where it started, and also where, I don't know, my style comes from. But I also do some 3D. Here's a 3D sculpt, and yes, right now I am working on Dice Gambit, as you can see, but some of you probably saw some of that before. What to say? I like doing characters the most, but I have done a lot for Dice Gambit, and I generally just like making games and making things in 3D and making VFX and making shaders, and I don't know, just making games look good in general. I think that's very fun. Yes, I've also worked in AAA for quite some years, but of course, I'm not allowed to show any of the art I did there because it's all on the NDA, since I was a concept artist. But I think that's me. Oh yes, hobbies, fun things. I am big fan of history, and especially like the Renaissance, the Middle Ages. I can be your personal tour guide on any art museum, and I love Gothic architecture and cathedrals. Yes, another fan I see, fellow enjoyer. Yeah, that's me. Oh.
Who's your historical favorite?
Well, it used to be Napoleon. I would always, when I was younger, I would always say to myself, what would Napoleon do in this situation? Yeah, yes. Yes.
I'm a bit curious, so you said you did concept art for AAA studio, so I'm guessing you started with 2D art and then you got into shaders as well, or how did that go?
Well, since I studied at the Game Assembly, so we also did 3D there, and I also did a little bit of 3D before, but yeah, but as you can see, I've like from the beginning I was 2D art. I also guess it's pretty hard doing 3D art if you're like a 5-year-old or whatever, but but yeah, I just also started doing 3D at some point, and it comes with the game development pipeline. Yeah, but yeah, I was just hired as a concept artist, so that was just how that happened. Yes. You were first.
Favorite games?
Yes, favorite games. I think according to my Steam hours, it's a Substance Painter. But no, I think probably my favorite game is, it's not very well known, so I don't know how many of you will know it, but it's a game called Cultist Simulator. Okay, yes, it's it. And I think what's like one of the big things in that game I generally really enjoy about games is that you can kind of infer your own stories, and not everything has to be like told to you specific, but you can your mind gets to be interactive and like put your own story and visuals behind, and I think generally I actually like a lot of games that's not have a lot of visuals. But I of course also I think like Elden Ring is amazing because probably the most pretty game out there. But yeah. I think that's it. Oh, there was no.
Oh, he stole my question. So, what's your favorite play?
Play?
Like theater play.
Ah, my favorite theater play.
High school music, the next media line.
I saw a play once. There was oh my God, what's it called? It was a play like made around the music of what's it called? Like a rock guy with a very raspy voice. Nick something, I think.
Mick Jagger?
No.
Nick Cave?
Yes. No, not the guy with the. It was close to that, but oh my God, why can't I?
What was the story?
They were making music, I think.
Tom Waits. Yes, it was a play around like his songs, and I don't know. That was just really, really good. And it's kind of like it was both like modern, of course, because of the songs, but there was also a lot of like, I don't know, almost like Grecian, like grand story, and there was like the devil involved, but it was also just about a guy and the pipeline to like ending up taking too many drugs, but very, very cool. I don't think it exists anymore, but I just happened upon it, and it was very nice.
Question from the chat. Daniel asked, how far did you get in Cultist Simulator? Because he loved the game, but he couldn't finish it.
I think I have like 100 hours, but I got very close to finishing it, but I never did. But I don't know. It's not always about finishing it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Kitty cat. Take a good look at those cats while they're still there, because they're not going to be there for much longer. Yeah. Woo! Patreon. We have Patreon. If you want to support the house, there's a lot of people here who could benefit from it. James! Psh, we're still on stream. How dare you? Yeah, watch Patreon if you want to give money to poor hungry game devs. Also, if you want to learn about game development, come here for the Indie Quest. That's the school run by Matej, who you might have seen earlier. There he is. Hi. We can learn everything about game development, from programming to art to whatever you might need. Yes, come here. It's cool. See you next week. Bye. Bye.